Marcus Chen had built his fortune by paying attention to details others missed, but he never expected those same instincts to reveal the true character of the woman he was planning to marry. As he stood frozen in the marble hallway of his Beverly Hills mansion, watching his girlfriend Victoria Ashford screaming at their housekeeper, he realized that all the expensive dinners and designer gifts in the world couldn't hide what was happening right in front of him. "You worthless piece of trash!" Victoria's voice echoed through the pristine kitchen as she waved a crystal vase in the air. "Do you have any idea how much this cost? More than you'll make in 10 years. 53-year-old Carmen Morales stood silently, her weathered hands clasped in front of her black uniform, her head bowed as Victoria continued her verbal assault. Carmen had been cleaning Marcus's home for 8 years, arriving every Tuesday and Friday with the same quiet dignity, the same gentle smile that had reminded Marcus of his own grandmother who had worked as a seamstress to put his mother through school. What Marcus witnessed next would not only end his relationship with Victoria forever, but reveal a strength in Carmen that would inspire him to completely re-examine what truly mattered in his life. Marcus had met Victoria 6 months earlier at a charity gala in Manhattan. She was everything his wealthy social circle expected in a billionaire's girlfriend: stunning, sophisticated, fluent in 3 languages, and descended from old East Coast money. She knew which fork to use at formal dinners, could discuss art and wine with equal expertise, and photographed beautifully at the social events that filled Marcus's calendar. But Marcus had grown up in a very different world. His parents had immigrated to Los Angeles from Taiwan with nothing but determination and a willingness to work 18-hour days in their small grocery store. His mother had cleaned offices at night while studying English, and his father had delivered newspapers before opening the store each morning. They had taught Marcus that success meant nothing if it came at the cost of treating others with disrespect. Carmen Morales represented everything Marcus admired about the immigrant experience. She had arrived from El Salvador 25 years ago, speaking no English and knowing no one. She worked multiple cleaning jobs while studying at night to become a certified nursing assistant. She had raised 3 children as a single mother after her husband was killed in a construction accident, putting all 3 through college with the money she earned scrubbing floors and washing dishes. Her eldest son, Miguel, was now a doctor. Her daughter, Anna, had just graduated law school. Her youngest, David, was studying engineering at UCLA. Carmen still cleaned houses, not because she had to anymore. Her children had offered many times to support her, but because she took pride in her work and had formed genuine bonds with the families she served. Marcus had always treated Carmen with the utmost respect. He knew her children's names, asked about their achievements, and gave generous Christmas bonuses that helped with their college expenses. He spoke to her in the broken Spanish he had learned specifically to make her feel more comfortable, and he always made sure she had lunch waiting for her on her workdays. Victoria, however, had made her feelings about the help clear from the beginning of their relationship. She complained that Carmen moved too slowly, left streaks on the windows, and didn't understand proper cleaning techniques for expensive furnishings. Marcus had dismissed these comments as Victoria's perfectionist nature, not recognizing them as warning signs of something much deeper and more troubling. The confrontation had started over a minor accident. Carmen had been dusting Marcus's collection of crystal sculptures, when one small piece, a $400 figurine Marcus had, bought more for decoration than any real attachment, slipped from her cloth and shattered. On the marble floor, Victoria had been in the kitchen when she heard the crash, and she exploded with a fury that seemed completely disproportionate to the incident. Marcus, who had been in his home office taking a conference call with investors in Tokyo, heard the shouting and quickly ended his meeting to investigate. 8 years! Victoria screamed as Marcus approached the kitchen. 8 years you've been coming here, and you still can't do your job properly. Do you know what Marcus pays you? Too much, obviously, since you clearly don't appreciate anything in this house. Carmen remained silent, bending down to carefully collect the pieces of broken crystal. Her movements were precise and respectful, treating even the fragments as if they still held value. "Don't you dare clean that up," Victoria snapped, grabbing Carmen's wrist and pulling her upright. You'll probably cut yourself and bleed all over the marble. Then we'll have an even bigger mess to clean up." Marcus felt his stomach turn as he watched Victoria's treatment of a woman who had never shown anything but kindness and professionalism. But what happened next made him question everything he thought he knew about both women in his life. Carmen gently but firmly removed Victoria's hand from her wrist and looked directly into her eyes. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear, with only the slightest accent coloring her perfect English. "Miss Victoria," Carmen said quietly, "I understand you are upset about the broken figurine. I will replace it from my own money, of course. But I need you to understand something important. I have cleaned houses for 25 years, and in all that time I have never been spoken to the way you have spoken to me today." Victoria's face turned red with indignation. "How dare you lecture me? You work for us! You don't get to tell me how to speak in my own home." "This is not your home," Carmen replied, her voice still calm but growing stronger. "This is Mr. Marcus's home. And in 8 years of working for him, he has never once raised his voice to me, never made me feel small, and never treated me as anything less than a human being worthy of respect." Marcus stepped into the kitchen doorway, unseen by both women, and listened as Carmen continued. "You want to know about that figurine I broke? It cost $400. I know because I saw the receipt when I was organizing Mr. Marcus's desk last month. Do you know what $400 means to me? It's 4 weeks of groceries for my family. It's a month of gas for my car. It's the difference between my son buying his textbooks new or used this semester." Carmen picked up one of the larger crystal fragments and held it up to catch the light streaming through the kitchen window. "But do you know what else $400 is? It's less than what you spent on the shoes you're wearing right now. It's less than what you tip the waiter at those fancy restaurants you go to. It's nothing to you, but everything to me. And I will still replace it, because that's what integrity means." Victoria's response to Carmen's dignified words revealed the full extent of her character. Instead of being moved by Carmen's honesty or ashamed of her own behavior, she became even more vicious. "Integrity?" Victoria laughed coldly. "You want to talk about integrity? You're a cleaning lady who broke my boyfriend's expensive property, and now you're trying to lecture me about money? You think your sob story about textbooks and groceries makes you somehow noble?" She stepped closer to Carmen, her voice dropping to a cruel whisper. "Let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I see someone who will never be anything more than what she is right now. Your children might have degrees, but they'll always be the children of a maid. You'll always smell like cleaning products. You'll always be someone who has to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to people like me." Marcus felt his hands clench into fists, but Carmen's response stopped him from intervening. Carmen set down the crystal fragment and straightened to her full height. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of 25 years of quiet dignity in the face of countless small cruelties. "You are right about one thing, Miss Victoria. I am a cleaning lady. I scrub toilets, I mop floors, and I dust expensive things that belong to people who have more money than I will ever see. But you know what else I am?" Carmen walked to her purse, which sat on the kitchen counter, and pulled out her phone. She scrolled through her photos and held the screen toward Victoria. "I am the mother of Dr. Miguel Morales, who performed heart surgery on 3 patients just last week. I am the mother of Ana Morales, Esquire, who just won her first case defending a family being evicted from their home. I am the mother of David Morales, who designed the earthquake-resistant building foundations that will keep people safe when the next big one hits Los Angeles." She scrolled to another photo. "I am the woman who saved enough money working multiple jobs to buy my own house, not rent, buy, in a neighborhood where my grandchildren can play safely. I am the woman who learned English by reading to children at the library every Saturday for 10 years. Carmen put her phone away and looked directly at Victoria with eyes that held no anger, only a profound sadness. "But most importantly, I am the woman who raised 3 children to treat every person they meet with respect, regardless of that person's job or bank account or accent. I taught them that real wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in how much good you do for others." She picked up her cleaning supplies and began packing them in her bag. "I have worked in many homes over the years, for many different kinds of people. Some were kind, some were distant, and some were thoughtless. But you, Miss Victoria, are the first person who has ever tried to convince me that my worth as a human being is determined by what other people think of my job. Carmen shouldered her bag and walked toward the kitchen door, then turned back one final time. I will mail Mr. Marcus a check for the figurine. Not because you demanded it, but because that's what honest people do when they make mistakes. And I hope someday you learn the difference. As Carmen headed for the front door, Marcus finally stepped into the kitchen. Victoria whirled around, expecting sympathy or support, but found something very different in his expression. Victoria, Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying a coldness that matched the marble surfaces around them. Pack your things. I'll have my driver take you to the airport. Victoria stared at him in disbelief. Marcus, you can't be serious. She's just the cleaning lady. She broke your property and then had the nerve to lecture me. She's not just anything, Marcus replied. Her name is Carmen Morales. She's one of the finest people I've ever had the privilege to know. And you just revealed exactly who you are when you think no one important is watching. He walked to the window and looked out at Carmen, who was sitting in her old Honda Civic in the driveway, clearly composing herself before driving home. Do you know what I was doing before I came downstairs? Marcus continued. I was on a call with investors in Tokyo, finalizing a deal worth $200 million. Do you know what I'm going to remember about today? Not the money, not the business success. I'm going to remember watching a woman with more dignity and class than most people. I meet in boardrooms defend her own worth while maintaining perfect grace under pressure. Victoria made one last attempt to salvage the situation. Marcus, I'm sorry you're upset, but you have to understand. No, Marcus interrupted. You have to understand. My parents worked jobs that people like you would look down on. They cleaned, they served, they did whatever it took to give me opportunities. Carmen reminds me every day of where I come from and what really matters. You just reminded me of everything I never want to become. Within an hour, Victoria was gone. Marcus walked out to the driveway where Carmen was still sitting in her car. When he knocked on her window, she rolled it down with obvious reluctance. Carmen, I owe you an apology, he said. I should have intervened sooner. I should have made it clear from the beginning that behavior like that would never be tolerated in my home. Carmen shook her head. Mr. Marcus, you don't need to apologize. You've always treated me with respect. I want you to know that what happened today, it won't happen again. And I don't want you to worry about replacing that figurine. I will replace it, Carmen said firmly. It's the right thing to do. Marcus smiled, the first genuine smile he'd felt all day. I know you will. That's exactly why I respect you so much. 3 months later, Marcus made a decision that surprised everyone in his social circle. He established the Carmen Morales Scholarship Fund, a program that provided full college scholarships to children of immigrant families working in service industries. The fund was endowed with $5 million from Marcus's personal fortune. At the scholarship announcement ceremony, Carmen was the guest of honor. Standing at the podium in an elegant dress that her children had insisted on buying for the occasion, she spoke about the dignity of work, the importance of education, and the difference between being wealthy and being rich in the things that truly matter. Today, she said, looking out at the audience of scholarship recipients and their families, I want to tell you something my grandmother told me when I was young. She said, Mia, there is no shame in any honest work. The shame is only in how we treat the people who do that work. Marcus, sitting in the front row, felt tears in his eyes as Carmen continued. These scholarships are not charity. They are an investment in young people who understand what it means to work hard, to sacrifice for family, and to never let anyone convince them that their dreams are too small or too big. Your parents have already given you the most valuable education possible. They have shown you that respect is earned not by what you have, but by how you treat others. Today, the Carmen Morales Scholarship Fund has helped over 200 students attend college. Many of them, inspired by Carmen's story, have gone on to establish their own programs to help other families in similar situations. Carmen still cleans houses, though now she does it by choice rather than necessity. She continues to work for Marcus, who has become not just an employer but a genuine friend. Every Tuesday and Friday, She arrives with the same gentle smile, the same quiet dignity, and the same unshakable belief that every person deserves to be treated with respect. And Marcus, who once thought success was measured only in profits and possessions, has learned that true wealth lies in surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your best self, rather than people who simply reflect your status. The way we treat those who work for us reveals more about our character than any amount of wealth or success ever could. True nobility comes not from what we own, but from how we honor the dignity in every person we meet.